Was there like a specific project or failure early in your career that changed the approach of automation or reliability?
There's just so many hours in the day, and I have this laundry list of things that need to get done. And that's actually where I've been working on applying automation, because I've found that a lot of these types of things, they're repetitive. There's something that I'm doing every time. So why do I have to manually put my time into that?
Sarah Fierce is a technologist who builds with purpose, co-founder and CEO of BeHer Village. She builds scalable platforms where precision engineering meets purpose, transforming complex systems into real-world impact.
More founders need to be careful about as AI is coming into the scene is making sure that we don't give up that people aspect.
Have you found yourself in a situation where AI didn't get it right?
One area that I've seen a lot of other businesses using their AI agents is for customer service. And that is something that we have decided that we will not do. Personally, I feel that there is going to be AI exhaustion in the near future. And I think that's going to be something that turns people away from certain businesses. And I don't want to fall into that.
Welcome to Automate or Die Trying. I'm Will Ramos, and today I'm joined with Sarah First, CTO and co-founder of BeHer Village, founder of Tipsar Software, and someone who's currently navigating one of the most fascinating leadership transitions there is. It's moving from a CTO to a CEO while building automation in every layer of the business. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So Sarah, for folks who don't know BeHer Village yet, can you give us a quick version of what you're building and what scale you're operating at?
Yeah, absolutely. So BeHer Village is a baby registry where moms can register for what they actually need. That can be anything from support like a doula or to just your traditional baby items like a crib. But instead of getting inundated with the stuff being mailed to you, all of your gifts land in your bank account as cash. Now, we tested this model because we weren't quite sure how people would react to gifting cash, and we found that it's actually worked quite well. And we are very, very close to hitting $500,000 in gifted funds. I believe we should hit it early in the next year.
Oh, nice. So you're essentially rerouting a piece of that, $12 billion baby gift market industry towards things that actually matter for parents, right? Like doulas, lactation support, public floor care. And now you're stepping into the CEO seat while trying to make sure that the technical engine runs without you having to touch it every day, right?
Yeah.
So that's a lot, right? So today we're kind of going to dig into what you're thinking about automation, not just for efficiency, but for security and resiliency and making the leadership transformation actually work. So let's rewind a little bit. You got like a pretty non-traditional path, right? Computer engineering, GIS research, co-ops at Eagle View, technical coaching at Flatarian School, and then founding your own company. So how did that all shape how you think about building systems today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, I do have a pretty diverse background. I've been in a lot of different areas, often computing related, but a lot of different like parts of computing. And because of that, I have had to really learn on my feet all the time. And that has helped hugely as we've moved forward into building my own businesses. And basically, it's been interesting because while I really have a strong computing focus and background, part of the beautiful nature of being able to build my own businesses is I've had to wear a lot of hats. I've had to pick up the marketing side of things. I've had to learn about certain things like the financial side of things I never thought that I would actually be touching. But because I was always learning, it's been something that I feel like I've been able to continue to do. And I've been able to really apply my technical, detail-oriented nature to these other aspects of the business. And I've felt that it's actually been very compatible.
Yeah, was there like a specific project or or a failure early in your career that changed the approach of automation or reliability?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say one thing that I have noted that I've historically not been very good at is I always take on more than I should, and I will underestimate the time things take. And so I'll find
That
myself.
means you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. But I'll find myself in this situation where there's just so many hours in the day and I have this laundry list of things that need to get done. And that's actually where I've been working on applying automation because I've found that a lot of these types of things, they're repetitive. There's something that I'm doing every time. So why do I have to manually put my time into that? And that's where I've been using automation primarily to just get my time back.
No, absolutely. So let's talk about your transition. Like right now, you're a CTO transitioning to a CEO, right? That's a shift like most technical founders struggle with, right? So what made you realize it was time, and what was the hardest part of letting go of the technical reins for the most part?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so it is a difficult transition. It's
Mm.
interesting because I'm going to be stepping in the place of our previous CEO, and one of the things that I always admired about her was she was really great with people. She could speak to people on the fly and explain the business really well and make everyone feel valued and interested in what she was saying. And so being on the technical side of things, that's high social aspect has never necessarily been my strong point. So it is a little bit it's difficult knowing I'm going to be going into this position, filling her shoes in that case, when I have,
Mm.
a very different technical background there. So really what the way I've approached it is I understand that this is not my strength. So I need to surround myself with the people that have these strengths that I know I'm missing. And I know the technical side is my strength. So basically, that's where I've been using a lot of that automation to make sure I can fill any of those things that I can technical wise to basically give me my time back. But then anything that automation is not going to be able to handle, like a lot of the people aspect, that's where I know, okay, I have to look for the people that can help fill this gap for me. Someone that is close to the mission, has these skills that aren't necessarily my strengths, and utilize that to the best of my ability. One of the things with BeHer Village that I have been trying to be really careful about, and I think honestly more founders need to be careful about as AI is coming into the scene, is
Mhm.
making sure that we don't give up that people aspect. So
Yeah.
automation is amazing, AI is amazing for getting things done quickly, but I also want to make sure I use that so that I can be in front of my customers and speaking with my customers face to face a little bit more and keeping that person aspect to the business.
No, it's such a good answer. So you mentioned previously, like in our conversations, that you're focused on automating daily workflows so the teams can be efficient as possible, right? So walk me through what that looks in practice. What were you doing manually before that now you're automating?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say we are a very small team. So we automate things like content a lot.
Mhm.
So blog posts are a huge thing that we will automate. Also, just social media brainstorming. Sometimes it's just a bit quicker to jot down like a loose idea I have and have basically AI kind of form that and jot down 10 different directions that can go. So in general, I've used it to just kind of take pieces of something and put it together a little bit faster than I might be able to put it together. So that's been a really, really big area. And then just on the technical side, there's so much that automation has been good for lately, whether it's security, so just noticing threats quicker, as
Mhm.
well as helping remediate some of those threats, which is something we've unfortunately had to encounter in this last year, as well as just as we grow, making sure that we can scale quickly and effectively and not reactively as new events and growth occurs. So we've done everything from content side of things all the way to the technical side of things with our automation.
Okay. Yeah, let's stay deep. Securities, that's kind of my love. So I'm always gonna always try to, steer towards that. You mentioned about automating security monitoring and resolutions, right? That's a big area. So, and a lot of teams honestly get it wrong. So what's your approach?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's one of those areas that has been really interesting in growth for me in the last year because that has not been my skill set. And so I've been invited for the past few years to go to the Pittsburgh Security Summit. that I've attended just to kind of see what's out there and what's going on. And it's been interesting because the one summit that I went to, we had literally just had a DDoS attack 3 days before.
Hmm.
And we hadn't handled it as well as we had wanted to. And so I came to this very much looking for solutions for that. Like, what can we do to help fix this? And I found that there's a lot of companies, not all as out of the box as I'd like. It is a little bit difficult for the startup side of things, I will say. But there are companies that are investing in utilizing AI to their advantage. So we have this, we have a lot of known security breaches. And so they're able to utilize AI to look for these patterns or analyze the logs on your website to look for a suspicious activity. And so we have been starting to integrate that mostly from the monitoring side of things. We don't have too much on the remediation side quite yet.
Mhm.
The unfortunate side of things is we're finding that it's difficult to find companies that are willing to work with us at the size that we're at.
Mhm.
A lot of companies want larger businesses. So that's been the biggest hurdle there. But
Mhm.
we are big enough that we are starting to experience cyber attacks. So it's become our focus going forward.
Right. I know you mentioned like auto remediation, right? And how far does that really go without having, a human in the loop for certain use cases, right?
Mhm.
Have you found yourself in a situation where AI didn't get it right? And how did you handle that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I
Yeah.
can't say that we have had that occur quite yet. Mostly what we have been using is the AI will like block a certain let's say a certain IP address or a certain region is hitting the website repeatedly. It will like prevent any further requests from them. Um, at least I'll be honest, if we have had something where the AI has not gotten it right, I have not been made aware of it quite yet.
Hmm.
I know enough to know that it's very possible that this has occurred, and just I don't have the monitoring necessary to be
Hmm.
aware of that situation occurring.
Yeah, got it, got it. So what do you think is like the scariest thing you've automated in the security space? Like the one where you had to really trust the systems, was it like a specific tool or anything like that that you can think of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, well, actually, I would say part of the scariest side of this is that we So historically with BeHer Village, we were very small and we had we used DigitalOcean. We had our little DigitalOcean droplet and we had 100% availability. We never had any issues because we didn't rely on a lot of outside third-party tools. And now in order to get the growth we need, we've had to rely more on third-party tools. So for instance, we just had a big outage due to the Cloudflare outage that occurred
Yeah.
because now we're using Cloudflare. So that I would say has been one of the scariest things to me because I see my site is down
Mm.
and I know there's not anything I can do about it as it currently stands. Like we rely on Cloudflare and Cloudflare is down right now. I have to trust that their engineers are working on it and getting it where it needs to be. Now, is there always more resiliency we can add? Yes, but we're
Mhm.
just not there yet. And so having to put our trust, especially given that this is an application that deals with our parents' bank accounts. So trust is really, really important. So being able to handle a little bit more of those outages and things that are just a little bit more out of my control, I would say has been the most difficult part for sure. But I will say the advantages are high. It's Cloudflare's job to go make sure that bad things aren't happening on the site. And so they're dealing with that, and it takes a lot off of my plate ultimately.
Yeah, yeah, Cloudflare. I think AWS also had like a big outage like
Yes.
previously prior to that. But yeah, sometimes, when you have to deal with the vendors, it's just not much, your hands are tied, unless you have like some type of redundancy where your website would redirect to a different, vendor, then, that's usually how that works. But
Yeah.
yeah, so being in Be Her Village, right? Being a startup, right? You're not working with like massive engineering organization, right? So how do you think differently about automation and when you're resource constraint, right? Like, what do you automate first versus later?
Yeah, I actually think it makes you think about things much differently because we are a very small team and 99% of the technical work lands on me. And so, because of that, I have a good idea of what I feel a human really needs to be involved in the process of. And so, I make sure that those things don't get automated, or if I do automate them, I still have like a QC or like a checkpoint where a human comes in and looks and sees and makes sure that everything looks good. So that's where my like I've mentioned with just time. Time has been my most valuable resource. And so I've been looking for the easy automations that save the most time. So for instance, we have birth workers on our site, and those birth
Mhm.
workers can add in their services. And we have a formula basically of how they have to put in their services to make sure that the parents get the information they need when they look at it. Well, historically, this has been a manual approval process. Someone needs to look at every single one of those services, and that takes a lot of time, but there's not really a lot of value to having a human looking at that. And so that's one of our initiatives for the new year is to automate that service approval because it's very easy to flag these services that are not in the way we want them to be. And then getting that person's time back is much more valuable for us. So that's basically what I've looked at. I've looked at the ease of automation to the value add of automating it.
Absolutely. Now, with the the implementation or the use of AI, a lot of companies are jumping on that, right? And then the use of agentic AI, right? Using agents for different mundane tasks, right? Is there a use case for like BeHer Village that you could talk about as far as maybe using AI agents and automating that in that route?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing I definitely want to bring up with that just from the start is one area that I've seen a lot of other businesses using their AI agents is for customer service. And that is something that as Be Her Village is currently, we have decided that we will not do. For us, our customer service is one thing that sets us apart. You're always talking to a human. Often you're talking to the same human if you have if multiple issues, so they have context of your issues. And we do not feel that AI is a good replacement for customer service. So that's one area where I would say we're actually kind of differing from a lot of other companies. We want people to feel heard. We want to be able to actually help these people and not have people feel frustrated. So where we've been using more of the AI is more on the content side. So we can teach the AI our voice, what we like to say, how we like to say it, and then we can use it to generate some content or even just help clean things up a little bit or polish things. So definitely a lot in the blog article side of things. We'll have it help with like captions for social media, for instance, even copy on the website. If there's something that we feel isn't necessarily hitting the way we want it to, we'll use AI to like help brainstorm and find a few like different options to try there. So it's been huge on the content side for sure. But we've definitely been staying away from keeping it as an interactive element with our customers. We don't want our customers to feel like they are being abstracted away towards an AI, especially because personally, I feel that there is going to be AI exhaustion in the near future.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be something that turns people away from certain businesses. And I don't want to fall into that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a delicate dance, right? Because sometimes, like you mentioned, AI exhaustion, right? Because the AI is not as smart right now, at least. And then, like, I give it to you, right? Every time I go to a website and I go for the chat, and I know it's an AI bot, I type an agent to see if I can get somebody live, right?
Yep.
So, but I think as AI gets smarter, I've been to other websites where I'm literally thinking I'm talking to a human and it's AI. It's an AI agent. So there's like depending how you implement AI, right, is a very thing is very different from other other people that do it, right? So let me ask you this though. You know, I don't know what the revenue is for Be Her Village, right? But as you scale, right, are you still gonna think about keeping that methodology when it comes to customer service, or are you gonna get to a point where like we can't handle all these requests, let's automate this and potentially bring in AI in this?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are going to keep the human aspect. So that is one thing that I feel very strongly about. Um, Personally, so for instance, just to give a little bit of an example, I had an issue last year where I bought 5 appliances from Samsung at the same time. Okay,
Mhm.
so 5 appliances. It was a very expensive purchase. Their website told me they were going to show up 3 days after I ordered them. 3 days come and go. I have no contact.
Yeah.
A month comes and goes. And all of this time, I was trying to talk to them, trying to use their agent, trying to call them. It took me hours and hours and hours of my time to find out that their system could not handle all of the items not being in stock at the same time. And so they would not mail those appliances to me until all 5 were available at the same time. All 5 were never available at the same time. So I was never going to get my appliances. I was stuck in this void. And it almost got to the point where I had to pursue legal action because I could never actually talk to someone that could help me. And that's what I want to prevent. It was a very frustrating experience for me. And I think that a lot of people have very similar stories. And so even as we get larger, I think first and foremost, we want to be there for our customers. And so we are going to invest in the human aspect when it comes to customer service. And more than that, I don't want us to ever just have agents that are set up with a script and just 1, 2, 3, and then they basically keep you from ever getting to someone that can help you. So our customer service is always going to be a huge focus of ours to make sure that we're doing it right. We're doing it in a way that's helpful to our customers. Now, that being said, are there ways that we can use AI in conjunction with that? Yes, one of the ways that I think would be really helpful that we haven't implemented yet, but likely will, is we have right now just your static FAQs on the site. Well, we can implement some sort of AI FAQ system that could help answer your questions a little more quickly. And if we do that, I want to make it very clear to this person, like, hey, this is an agent here to just help you with our known dictionary of frequently asked questions. I never want to make it where that person thinks they're speaking to a person and they're not. I just want to use it to basically be able to convey and search a lot of information very quickly for that person. So that's, I think, the balance there is I think it's great for helping people get through a lot of information and narrow down exactly what they're looking for. But I don't want it to ever replace actually talking to a person and getting the help that they need, because I think ultimately that's what's going to set us apart from other businesses.
Absolutely. That's great. That's great. So automation is great when you get it right, right? But when you get it wrong, you're making that mistake over and over again, depending on what you're doing, obviously. So was there a mistake early that you made with automation and something you'd never ever repeat again?
Yes, absolutely. So I do have a good example for this. Okay, so a lot of our emails on our site are automated. So we have taken a lot of time on our email journeys. So on one side, we have these email journeys that are automated. They send someone through the flow. Then we also have some transactional emails that occur when something occurs on the site, and those can also just trigger some journeys too. Now, we had a mistake early on where we basically had a retry mechanism that was implemented for some of those early emails that if it failed, it would try again. Well, it would try again the next minute. And unfortunately, the way it was set up, this was just a bug. I implemented this bug for full transparency. There might have been multiple emails handled by this job. And so if it failed halfway through, the first emails that were successful were sent. And so in that case, we ended up in this situation where we were accidentally spamming our customers because the retry mechanism was retrying and only failing halfway through. So that same email in the beginning was getting sent over and over and over again. And so like anything in technology, it's a huge learning experience. And so it's something we've been more cognizant about and kind of re-architected things to prevent in the future. And yeah, ultimately, it has been helpful for us to automate those emails. We don't want to have one person standing there waiting for an event to occur to send an email. But we do have to be careful not to bug and spam those customers at the same time.
So let's talk about hindsight, right? If you had to start BeHer Village over today, knowing what you know now, what's the first system or practice you'd put in place?
Yeah, that is a great question. I will say I've learned a lot. I've been working on BeHer Village for over 5 years now, and I would say I was a lot more junior in my career when I started. Um, so I do think one of the things that I would do differently is we built the site with a grand vision in mind. This is such a common founder problem. And we worked towards that vision as a whole rather than in pieces. And so as we've had to pivot, as we get bigger and as we start to talk to our customers, there's a lot more that we have to pull out or work that's ultimately seeming like it may have been wasted because it's not what our customers wanted. And so definitely, I think one of the biggest lessons is talk to your customers early. Um, and you don't have to build everything perfect. So perfection is the enemy of progress. That's a saying that I've heard thrown
Man,
around, and
yes,
it's
yes.
so pertinent to software
Mhm.
because we really do feel like we have to get everything right. Everything needs to look good. We want to have all of these features. And that's just not the case. If the core of your project or your product is going to solve a problem from someone, just focus on solving that exact problem. Make sure it works, make sure it's something people are willing to pay for, and then grow from there. So that's one of the big things that I would definitely change.
Awesome. So what's next for you and Be Her Village? I mean, what are you building or exploring that you're excited about?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's going to be very interesting moving into the CEO role. So it's going to be a little bit of a shift of mindset for me because I've always focused on how can I make the technical side the best that it can be, where now it's going to be a little bit more of like the vision and pushing the company forward. And one of the big things that I've been thinking about is just going back to our roots of being a registry for support. So we've always fundamentally been a registry to help women get what they need. And really, we're the only baby registry that focuses on the mom. Most baby registries focus on the baby itself, where we want the mom to be supported because really, the baby doesn't need that much. The mom needs a lot more. And so going forward, we're just exploring initiatives that can help really make that mission come true, as well as kind of separating ourselves from a lot of other companies in the same space where we do not want to push junk and like endless stuff on our parents. We want to make sure that they're getting what they need, whether that's knowledge, whether that's a useful piece of stuff, or whether that's support. And so, one of those initiatives that I think is really exciting, and this actually does tie into the AI, is we want to help parents understand what they need for their registry a little bit more. We have found that a lot of the parents that want support are second or third time moms because they've had the child and now they understand, oh, I didn't need that carrier. I really needed a doula. And so we want to help bridge that gap for first time parents and help them understand what's out there and why they might need it. And we've found that actually we think AI would be a great solution for that because we could have parents ask very real questions. Like,
Mm.
for instance, like, I'm peeing when I sneeze. What can I do about that? And then the AI can help connect them with a pelvic floor therapist in their area where they likely don't necessarily even know what a pelvic floor is. So just
Mm.
bridging that knowledge gap, I think, is a great use for AI and is one of our initiatives for the year going forward.
Awesome, awesome. So Sarah, where can people find you? Follow your work or check out Be Her Village.
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn is definitely the biggest place if you want to find me personally. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So definitely look for my profile there. For Be Her Village, we are very active on Instagram. Our username is just Be Her Village, or check out behervillage.com if you would like to see what we are up to. And if you are a birth worker that wants your services listed on Be Her Village, you can go to behervillage.com/partners and get your services listed for free.
Awesome. Sarah, thanks for being here. This is a real conversation from a CTO to CEO, automating security space at a scale and building systems that let you lead instead of just operate. I appreciate you sharing the real stuff. To everybody listening, if this has helped you think differently about automation, leadership, or building secure systems fast, share it with someone who builds. Thanks for joining Automate or Die Trying, where the future is being built in real time. Thank you.
Absolutely.